bathroom. I've got diarrhea, and I'm feeling really sick. But it's not the sick that they think. Drowning deep in my sea of loathing, broken my servant I kneel. Will you give it to me? It seems like what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. Will you give it to me? Looking at my own reflection, when suddenly it changes, violently it changes. Wow, there is no turning back now. I've opened up the demon in me. Come on and get down with the sickness. Come on, get down with the sickness. Come on and get down with the sickness. Open up my hate and let it come into me. Oh, I get down with the sickness. I'm going to get down with the sickness. I'm going to get down with the sickness. Open up my hate, and I'm going to say it today. Well, they think I'm really sick, don't they? The judge, the court officials, everyone that's wanting this trial to start Monday. But what really has gotten me sick, I gotta say it. Man's law has made me sick, but in a different way. See, I'm faking being sick so I don't have to face the music on Monday. But, I have absolutely been infected. I've been infected by man's law. And, it's the type of thing where, they're injecting me with They're making me have personal responsibility for my evil deeds and actions. They're making me do all this, and it's just made me inside, my demon and all. It gets on my demon's nerve that I'm having to take personal responsibility, don't you know? Oh, wait a minute. One of the jail people are coming to my cell right now to hand me something. Yeah, I'm sick. Yeah, I need to rest. I really need to rest. Oh, okay, you got to give this to me according to jail policy. Okay. Prisons and jails are considered high-risk environments for the spread of infectious diseases and the development of chronic conditions due to factors like crowded conditions, shared spaces, and the presence of individuals with pre-existing issues. I have no pre-existing issue. I am translated. But anyway, individuals in prison are more likely to have chronic conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, and asthma, and to experience higher rates of infectious diseases like COVID, HIV, hepatitis C, and tuberculosis. I'm immune. I don't have to worry about it. Yes, I've got a little diarrhea. In the past, before I became incarcerated, I usually, take some Dookie Lax. It'd give me, the runs a little bit, but it'd get all that out of there. And then, of course, they won't let me have an enema and a douche at the same time because they don't have them big enough to fit my holes. So, I'd like to take the enema and the douche at the same time and squeeze, get all that flushed out of me. They found a couple of kitchen sinks down in my cooter, but, all I can say about all this is that, again, man's law. They want me to take personal responsibility, and I just refuse, and it's making me sick because I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't. Personal responsibility means that I have to take ownership of my actions and my decisions. And I have to take personal responsibility and accept the consequences, and it just makes me sick because I don't want to accept it. I don't want to accept personal responsibility. You know, it means to recognize that I have control over my own choices and actions. Well, I already do that. I already made choices and I acted on them. I am a serial killer, and they act like that I'm not taking personal responsibility for that. Yes, I blame anyone and everyone, but I take personal responsibility for the fact that I'm right all the time. That everybody else is wrong, and that I can blame everyone. I can blame anyone I want. These people, they want to be down on my religious freedom and all that. But the bottom line is I take personal responsibility for the fact that I feel like I am the queen of the 144,000, and as that, it does not count for me. See, don't you understand? I mean, Lori, I don't have to, I don't have to confess anything. I don't have to ask for forgiveness. I don't have to take any personal responsibility. But man's law is putting these penalties on me. I got to spend the rest of my life over there in Idaho to Pocatello Women's Prison for the rest of my days. And, they're forcing me to accept the consequences of actions and things of that sort. And I just have spent my whole life never having to accept personal responsibility. So, excuse me for just a minute. Wayne's around there. Oh, okay. So anything and everything that they have accused me of and convicted me of, I know that, it's always going to be about them wanting to infect me, to the man's law wanting to infect me with making me have that personal responsibility and consequences. And the bottom line is they're shoving it down my throat like a terrible disease. They say it involves taking credit for positive results. Well, I've had positive results in my actions and stuff. I had Chad Daybell believe that I was, virgin-like. I mean, even though he fell deep inside there, I was so successful in convincing Chad Daybell that he had the big kielbasa. I mean, I had Chad on a rope there. The rope they had to pull him out of my cooter with. I mean, I take personal responsibility for the fact that, I rubbed him in his face and wore my yoga pants and leaned in on him when I first met him, knowing he was married. And of course, I was married. Also, it means, for personal responsibility that they're trying to infect me with and make me sick is being held accountable for my actions and decisions, both legally and morally. They just decided, man's law has just decided to crucify me. Man's law, they've tried to say that what I did was immoral. But little do they know is I have my excuses, don't you know? It's not my narcissism. It's not my mental health. It's the demon in me that nobody knows about, but I know all about it. Oh, yeah, that demon hasn't blinded me to shit. I mean, the demon has absolutely just been right there all along to thwart all the bad people out there that think I'm so evil and mean. The bottom line is it's in its essence, what they're trying to do is their personal responsibility is about taking ownership of your life and actions, accepting the consequences of my choices, and striving to live according to established standards of behavior. My standard of behavior? My standard of behavior is to murder my children, murder an innocent woman, murder my husband Charles, who should have, oh Lord, These people, they just don't understand that I rid the world of all this terrible stuff. You know, that's my cover story, obviously. But, you know, I did the right thing. I did the right thing. But now that I'm stuck in this man's law, this nasty illness type of thing where they're making me take personal responsibility, it's just not going to get better for me until this is all over with. You know, they want to come in here, the jail wants to come in here and tell me that I need to make sure to understand that while I'm in jail, even though I'm locked down 23 hours a day, that I could get sick. But ultimately, don't you know, I faked it. I faked being sick so I could take more time because I didn't want a continuance, but I just needed more time. And now I realize that, yes, I'm faking being sick so I can get out of going to trial on Monday, but I am very sick inside with man's law telling me that I got to take personal responsibility. And with that being said, there's not any pill, any kind of treatment for what I've got when I am unwilling to take personal responsibility. Gosh, y'all, anything and everything could have happened today to stop me from this live stream. I had the tree trimmer come to the door. They were out here in the front yard. They just with one of those chipper trucks, and I'm like, why is this happening to me? I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. OKJ has been on hiatus, as many of you know, and I appreciate all the kind thoughts and things that all of y'all have left on the message board and all that good stuff. But ultimately, y'all, you ready? Because we're going to go right into it. Because I've been biting at the bit. I've gotten a shot of some relaxation, some fishing, some time away to gather myself. I haven't checked my P.O. box yet, but hopefully somebody will send me a letter. I love handwritten letters. And I really think the reason I did the P.O. box is just to see if there really was people that actually cared about OKJ enough to write me a handwritten letter. You didn't have to leave your return address. You didn't have to tell me what your real name was or anything like that. Just write. You can write me about anything. That P.O. box only accepts envelopes, so please no gifts. If you want that, it's on the community wall. It's P.O. Box 9. Manchester, Tennessee, 37357. And when I check that P.O. box, I hope I have at least one letter. Didn't y'all remember me saying if I received one letter? Just think of the value in that. So anyway, let's go into it. 4 to 6 multiple probations. Elena, Lily, 7 missions to accomplish with Chad. Oh my goodness. Wasn't that divine? Wasn't that supposed to happen? The 7 missions to accomplish together. Translated being that Lori was. A warrior beyond the millennia. Queen of the 144,000. And she wanted to be on equal footing with her Chad prophet, Church of the Firstborn bullshit. All right? She wanted to convince others that she could get into a portal, zip here and zip there, or be right there with Chad. But really what it was Chad would lay in his bed and pretend he was, he would pleasure himself while he pretended to, you know what I'm talking about. This sick, twisted shit. But anyway, and then the major thing that just ran all over me is that Lori said that Jesus in heaven, she was in heaven with Jesus, and he sat down with her. Those were her words, and gave her that mission. And she accepted that mission. What, to be a serial killer? Give me a break. Where is her? LDS attorney from the church. I mean, is the church not going to give her an attorney? I never saw no LDS attorney on her case. Maybe they did. Maybe I missed that. And why is it that after all these things that people think she really, truly believed, which I don't think so, why is it with all those titles, the eliteness and the divinity and all that stuff, why is it that she misunderstands man's law? We've seen it on display the last couple of weeks. Oh yeah, KJ's been keeping an eye on all her stupid ass motions and all of that stuff. I guess it really has gotten lost, y'all, that what this woman did, and she tries to say it was because of religious reasons and stuff, that's all went out the freaking door since she got into Arizona. Oh yeah, she's brought it up just a little tad here and there. Blaming Tylee, saying all this other stuff, talking about her religion briefly, but she does not at no point ever show me, and shouldn't, I don't see how you could see it, that she firmly believes this bullshit. She don't. And now she is stuck in the minutia of man's established law, and she does not know her ass from a hole in the ground. Okay? She sits in her jail cell, y'all, and she thinks up any and all reasons to handwrite motions, or she'll even have them formatted after the fact. All these motions that have been denied, and it does not dawn on her stupid ass that she has no legal standing in any of her motions. If anybody filed the kind of motions this hooker files, they're going to get shot down too. So she absolutely attacked the trial and conviction in the Charles Vallow case. And I want to go over that because I never did cover that. I also want to go over her affidavit. Oh, it's sworn, y'all. She's supposed to swear to tell the truth in that affidavit. Give me a break. She's nothing more than an evil, diabolical hooker hussy. That's all she is. That's all she's ever going to be. And make no mistake, y'all, she is absolutely faking it and being sick. And, that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. Oh, librarian says I may send some Canada love to my Gherkin sister. Oh, Denise Gray, it's P.O. Box 9, Manchester, Tennessee 37357. So if you want to write KJ and the Ray, and I'd love to hear from you. It would mean a lot to me. Hey Tina, how you doing? Hi Kathy. I guess my crazy ass loud singing and acting like a fool would wake anybody up, Kathy. All right, so she does sit in her jail cell, and she thinks of all these reasons. She thinks of all these things that get shot down left and right. But she has attacked the conviction that she got with Charles Vallow, and now she is attacking the prosecutors in this case, the judge, and the evidence of the conspiracy to commit murder on Brandon Boudreaux. Now, does anyone really believe that she ever believed she was an exalted being? Because if she even had one little iota of any kind of divinity in her at all, why in the hell can't she get any of her emotions? She gets them all denied. She don't get them. She don't get anything. And it ain't because a judge is biased against her. Lord, no. She's just mad because Judge Boreski doesn't want to dang hump her. How does she deal with the inside of herself? None of us will really ever know. We can only speculate. But she's got to know that what she has done to all of these victims, to the victims' family members and stuff, she has to know on some level, she has to know what she's done. Pure and simple. And she has to know what has been done by her, not in this blanket of, oh, I was an exalted being. I was ridding the world of zombies. I used to pray them. Hundreds of thousands over here in this region over here were gone. Now I'm going to step it up a little bit and start murdering people that I think are zombies. You know, y'all remember, we talked about this years ago. But how does she live with herself? She lives with herself because she's narcissistic and she has that demon. I just believe it. She has that demon in her that's continuing to stroke her. Her narcissism obviously helps her continue to see things the way she does. But I just don't see how she could believe that Tylee murdered JJ or killed JJ by accident or however, and then killed herself. Y'all, Lori is absolutely having to live inside of herself. A sickness of knowing what, y'all? Lori is absolutely, she knows what the truth is. She knows what the truth is. And that's what's making her so sick, because number one, she wants to continue with the lies, the denials, and all of that, the blaming and all of that. And that has absolutely butt up against what? Man's law that's making and forcing her to be held responsible. I think many of y'all understand, at least on the narcissistic end of the way she is, how that must feel for her to be forced into all of this, to be forced to be punished, to be forced into, she doesn't have to acknowledge. She will never acknowledge. I've told y'all that. She's never going to acknowledge that she's a serial killer. She is going to continue to she has in her narcissism, her evilness, all of those things she can force herself to believe these things. I mean, y'all, any human being can believe whatever they want to believe. Someone could give them empirical, factual evidence that what they believe is not true, but does that mean that person stops believing that? I mean, I've had lots of people tell me that, oh, there isn't a God. But does that, and they try to give me all kinds of examples that there's no way that God could, here's a scientific, or here's the atom and all this other crap, evolution, the whole 9 yards. But I'm going to continue to believe in God because faith is so important in my belief system. I mean, you got to have faith in order to believe, right? Well, look at it like that with her. She has to continually believe that she did nothing wrong. And really, if she truly believes she's done nothing wrong, then why all the pushback from her? Huh? Why all the pushback? If she's so right and everyone else is wrong, why all of the motions and all of the whining and bitching she's done over court etiquette or anything else? I mean, get for real, y'all. She's going to get all bitchy and whiny over headsets. I mean, this woman is a freak. She is a freaking hooker. So for someone who wants a speedy trial, gotta have my speedy trial. She sure is doing a lot to try to slow it down, isn't she? I mean, let's just, for sake of argument, she wanted to get rid of Judge Boreski. Do you think that trial would have continued being on schedule with a new judge being put in? Or how about prosecutorial misconduct? Get rid of the state's prosecutors there. Wouldn't that slow things down? So if they had to, just for sake of argument, they got them off, got Trina K off there and had to bring in another, they'd have to go up to speed, right? She sure is doing a lot. And I guess the epitome of it is now she's sick, right? She's sick. Well, she's been sick, spiritually sick for a very long time. And the only one that can make her better is herself and her acknowledgement and her own personal responsibility in the situation. But again, it does not count for her. She doesn't have to repent. She doesn't have to confess shit. What she does want to do is to try to make a mockery of everything, and that's what she's tried to do. Now, in Charles's trial, I thought she'd get more circusy, like a freaking clown show she is. But she was just a duck out of water, just like she's a duck out of water now. But you see, she's learned a little there. Now she's really starting to give it hell. She's really starting to she's filed more motions in the Brandon situation than she did in Charles's. She's getting used to it. I think she kind of likes it, huh? It's her. It's her against man's law. Oh, my goodness. The queen. Give me a break. Regardless of what she thinks and feels, y'all, which, again, we may never know, man's law has absolutely dictated everything to her. They have imposed penalties on her in Idaho that she's going to have to live out. Man's law has dictated it, and there's not a damn thing she can do besides what? She can appeal it. And that can get shot down too. In fact, on Charles Vallow, as in terms of the trial record and stuff on a state level, she's been shot down on that. I guess she has a snowball's chance in hell in the federal courts, huh? You think Lori will win an appeal on her bullshit? I don't think so. But then, according to Lori, her being so exalted and everything, why is it? Why is it that she says that she would absolutely go on a mission for Jesus? Jesus in heaven, she was in there, up there. He said, come on down, go on down on earth. I got a purpose for you. What was that purpose? Was the purpose for her to go under the thumb of incarceration? Huh? This exalted being. God, she's going to go and she's going to be incarcerated for the rest of her life. She's going to be told when she can eat, what she can eat, when she can shower. She gets the subpar medical. Of course, some people don't have any medical, but then again, she's not going to get any help on her veneers. They're just going to start pulling her teeth over time. Her face will continue to sag. Her breasts will continue to sag. She's just going to have to deal with the omnipotence, for her anyway, the omnipotence of incarceration. And also she is being judged by man's law. And we know that God's law and God judging her is the ultimate of all. But here on earth, she's being judged by man. She's being dictated by man. And she's being incarcerated by man. And so this woman who thought she was all of these things, Lily, Lena, God only knows any of her sexual role-playing names. All of these things. It does come into focus for old KJ. That, all this time we've talked about how could they believe in all this stuff. And she really hasn't brought it out at all. She went off the deep end with Judge Boreski over this Nephi comment. We'll get to that. Oh, yeah, right. Does anyone think that she got her way by being sick? Being sick. She put it off a couple of days? What is that going to help her investigator there or her other advisors? or anyone, just give me a couple more days. We've got a couple more days. We got other things we've got to get done for this trial and everything. Yeah, this woman, absolutely, if she was so divine and if she was so right, then why would she try to get out of man's law's conviction? Huh? Because that demon wants out. That's not the human part of her wanting her freedom. That's the demon wanting out to continue to murder and hurt other people. Make no mistake, if she was let out of jail, she'd just go off somewhere and start murdering other people. She'd get with another man, slap that nasty, sloppy, slimy vagina into some man's face, have him convinced. There's a lot of freaky people out here, googly-eyed cookie monster people like Chad Daybell with the penis chin. She could find another one of them damn assholes. Hell, there's probably one that's stepping up. Well, Chad's on death row now, so I guess I need to be the prophet of the church of the firstborn. There's always going to be another nut job to step up in that place. Pure and simple. So yes, Lori is being faced with man's justice. It's made her sick, but she was already sick. And everything she touches, everything she says is nothing more than a lie, basically. Don't know if any of y'all remember any podcast or anyone talking about the appeal that Lori filed on Charles Vallow's case. I didn't talk about it, but I just want to put it in perspective when it comes to her accepting personal responsibility. She wanted to bring up different things that she felt like she had an appeal with. Juror 15, y'all remember that. Juror 15 talked about, there was this big thing on whether he had heard something or this or that. The misconduct of that didn't fly. She couldn't use that. Preclusion of Tylee and Alex's statements. Don't y'all find it interesting that she wants to say because Alex and Tylee's statements were not able to be entered into evidence, that should be an appeal? She's always used Tylee, Alex as her way out. She wants to murder Tylee, but then she wants to use her statements to try to get herself out of trouble. That shows you the evil nature of this whore. Pure and simple. That was shot down as hearsay, and it had held up that it was not entered. And I know it was hard for those jurors to understand the whole thing without Alex and Tylee's interviews. But see, Lori, she wanted them in because I believe, I could be wrong, that Lori coached Tylee to say what Tylee said. There's just no other explanation. Because what Tylee said in her interview with police was not the truth. And it didn't line up with the empirical evidence. So that's the only conclusion that I can come up with. In terms of Alex and Lori had their shit down. But, I have no doubt that Alex had his story available there. And then in Charles's trial here, there was, the conviction and all. She wants to appeal. Detective Coon's testimony. There was sufficient foundation was laid. He was qualified to give an opinion. Lori did have time to rebut Detective Coon's testimony. She was offered more time to prepare, but she declined. And ultimately, his testimony was proper. Okay, so she tried to, first it's Juror 15. Then I didn't get Alex and Tylee's stuff, their statements. Now I'm going to attack Detective Coon's. And then she gets to, well, okay, so I can't blame anybody else, basically, because I don't know if her advisors are helping her with this or not. Now she's going to attack the discovery. There was no prosecutorial misconduct. And this one, y'all, this one really pissed me off, okay? She brings up in her appeal, and this is the same woman that called her husband, Charles, Ned Schneider, a freaking demon, possessed man, having these stupid castings and all this stupid shit. Her freedom of religion, the RFRA protects religious freedom and prohibits the government for substantially burdening a person's exercise of religion. She says that was what happened to her. Give me a break. Y'all, when we're talking about religious freedom here, we're talking about damn not killing people. We're talking about not breaking laws. So there was no violation of her religious freedom. She took her stupid ass cult religious freedom and she murdered people and ruined lives and destroyed and traumatized victims' family members. That's what she did with her stupid ass faith. Because where is her faith now? Where is it? Where's her faith? Is she continuing to translate in her freaking jail cell? There is no conduct, but either the state or court that somehow infringed on the defendant's freedom to practice her religion. Nor is there anything about the trial that impacts the defendant's freedom to believe whatever she chooses to believe. Moreover, the RFRA does not protect someone from committing criminal acts in the name of religion, nor does it prevent any person from disagreeing with another's belief system. Here, different witnesses may have had different interpretations regarding who Nephi was or the significance of his story. The defendant had an opportunity to cross-examine those witnesses regarding the same, and none of this infringes on the defendant's religious freedom. That was the state's response. And it also was incorporated in the fact that her religious freedom was never messed with in this last trial that convicted her ass of Charles Vallow's murder. It's just pathetic, y'all. On one hand, she wants to use her belief system to murder people, but on the other hand, she wants to use her belief system to get out of her personal responsibility. Her own personal responsibility, which includes not only the brain or the body, the flesh, but it also includes what's going on spiritually with a person. And make no mistake, this hooker is sick. She is sick, sick, sick at this point because there is nothing she can do against man's law. Do you really think she can do anything against God's law? Obviously. She's so frustrated and she's so upset that things are not going her way, that everyone's biased against her. She doesn't understand the freaking damn legal, procedural law, nothing of it. But that's her fault because her stupid ass had actually pretty good attorneys that she thought she was better. She thought she could do it. She thought, you know what I think? I think she's also ultimately going to say, oh, I should have never self-represented myself and I want to appeal that because they just took advantage of my mental illness when deep down she knows good and damn well that she ain't smart enough to understand the totality of the criminal law and codes in the state of Arizona. She sure as hell didn't have a chance with reputable attorneys such as Archie and Thomas over there in Idaho. They are damn good attorneys. She wanted the way she wanted it in terms of you can't say nothing bad about Chad and all that when she was in Idaho. But the bottom line is she has absolutely everything that's happened to her that she's upset about, she did it to herself. She did it to herself. So in Charles's, this appeal for Charles's trial here, the conviction and stuff, she also brings up 2 witnesses were struck, and of course it was an impartial decision to do that because she never really ever got them there. I mean, the judge was over lenient with this woman. He did everything that, I mean, for God's sake, y'all, this week, you know it. You know what I'm talking about. He's freaking having a freaking class with her in the middle of freaking court trying to explain to her shit that she should have freaking known, her being her own freaking attorney and her advisors. Them advisors ain't damn advising her about the law. She's sitting there, well, Judge, but doesn't this mean this? It's my understanding this and that. Well, what does this mean, Judge? And when we talk about, that date, the date that I conspired to murder Charles, that's got to be brought up in court. How do I say it, Judge? And Judge, how do I keep it to where I don't open a door? What a freaking, just a freaking nut job this woman is. She doesn't even see how sick she really is. Because I'll tell you, when I talk about personal responsibility and how she doesn't want to take it, come on, y'all. She could have pled guilty. Get it out of the way. She could have pled guilty. What was the state going to say? No, you're not going to plead guilty. She could have pled guilty. But even then, we know the state didn't offer her any kind of plea agreement. But she still could have pled guilty. But not for her, don't you know? It's not for her. She's done nothing wrong. She's blamed highly. She's blamed everyone and anyone. And you think that people like Melanie Gibb, Melanie Pulowski, Audrey Bartario, Serena Sharp, all the rest of them, you think any of them take personal responsibility? No, because they didn't tell the truth. Just as Melanie Gibb got on the stand in Idaho, she's a liar. She's a damn liar. Oh yeah, she said what she said, and it helped convict them. But if you'd have taken Melanie Gibb off that stand and gave all the other evidence, she would have still got convicted. Chad would have still got convicted. But y'all, in this day and time, people like Melanie Gibb and people like that, they can go on the stand and they can lie. And that is supposed to, court is supposed to all be about, whether we like it or not, whether we like the truth and the outcome of the truth. The bottom line is it's seeking the truth. That's what justice is supposed to be. Lori's gone totally opposite of what justice should be about. It's about ducking and running and denying and lying and all of those things, attacking the credibility of people that are actually truthful, like Detective Coons and others. It is what it is. Surely her advisors explain these things to her. If the judge advises her, she can then blame him. Well, she's already blamed him. She blamed him and all that stuff. And y'all, just to wrap that up about Charles Vallow's, the conviction for that and everything and her appeal on a state level, it's sound. I don't see how on a federal level there could be any, because on a federal level it would have to be, the only thing I could think is she would bring up about this religious stuff, that she was persecuted or because of her religious beliefs or something like that. And I doubt that would fly. I absolutely know that won't fly. So, she's sick. She is sick. Now, I titled this live stream, An Evil Mother's Affidavit. And all of us know what an affidavit is. I mean, we know what it is. But just for those that don't know what it is, I think I've got it written in here somewhere. Let me see. Well, I did have it written down. Hold on just a second. Here it is. Here it is. I'm sorry, y'all. An affidavit is a written statement made under oath, y'all. Lori had to take an oath, don't you know? Declaring that the information provided is true to the best of the signer's knowledge. It's a legal document used in various court proceedings and other situations requiring formal evidence of the facts. The person making the statement is called the affiant, and they typically sign the affidavit in front of a notary public or other authorized officer. It's used as evidence. It's a written document. It's a sworn statement. Legal disputes, real estate transactions, immigration matters, etc., etc. In essence, an affidavit is the written equivalent of a witness's testimony under oath in court, providing a formal and reliable record of the information. So people say, well, KJ, Lori didn't testify in her trial, on the conspiracy to commit murder on Charles Vallow. And many don't think she's going to testify in Brandon Boudreaux's either. But an affidavit is supposed to be, is it not? It just said it, didn't it? It just said it's a witness's testimony under oath in court. So Lori did have an affidavit. The affidavit of Lori Daybell. That's what the legal document says right there, y'all. Right here. It says it's the affidavit. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of the legal jargon in it. And in fact, what she puts in here is a crock of shit. All right? But I got to looking at it and I thought, this woman has been sworn. She's been sworn with an oath that she's going to tell the truth. And this is an affidavit concerning her reasoning that Judge Boreski should be taken off the case. Now, we know it's been denied, but I think OKJ just wants to look at this just a little bit different, don't you know? Instead of really going down this stupid list of all her belly aching about Judge Boreski and why he should be taken off the case and everything, why don't we just get the real truth, an affidavit, a real, supposed to be the truth, right? I, Lori Daybell, being first duly sworn, say, Miss Daybell has made multiple motions for Judge Justin Boreski to recuse himself from her case. But I thought, wait a minute. She's not going to tell the truth. So why not? Why not just look at her words, her testimony, it's supposed to be the truth, right? But it's not. But I'm going to make it the truth. I'm going to go through it, not every line for line. I'm just looking at it here, where it says the judge has refused to recuse knowingly and willingly violating the code of judicial conduct. Well, that's not true, but you know what is true? Lori has refused to accept responsibility of knowingly and willingly violating the code of motherhood. She knowingly violated the code of motherhood. She violated it. And not only did she violate the code of motherhood, she manifested bias. These are things she's saying about the judge, but I want the truth. I'm going to look at her. She violated the code of motherhood by manifesting bias. Manifesting bias. She had bias against her own daughter and son. She had bias against Tammy. She had bias against Charles Vallow. She did not want, she had no real love or feelings for any of them. She manifested bias against her victims. She was prejudiced, and she couldn't be impartial about it. She refused to. She didn't want to. She was too busy letting Chad crawl between her legs and playing the little James and Elena bullshit. she proceeded to breach her duties as a mother. Oh, yeah, she's talking about the judge, but really, don't we want the truth? This is her sworn statement, but I can look at it and I can see she's full of shit. So I can look at her words and I can apply them to her. She proceeded to breach her duties as a mother. She commented with the opinions of the defendant's prior two groups of counsel. She wants to say the judge had brought up about her two council members, but wasn't it her speaking volumes about her two prior council members by knocking them off the case because she was basically saying she was better than them? She didn't trust them or she didn't want them. She thought she could do a better job than them. And here she is, the hypocrite, evil, diabolical hooker she is, accusing the judge of this stuff. She says a judge should have recused himself related to the merits of his own rulings, his own decisions. Well, I mean, what was her own rules, her merits, related to merits of her own ruling? She ruled in her own decision. I mean, the ruling means she made decisions. She did this. She absolutely doesn't know the word recuse herself, other than to say she recuses herself by blaming others. Then she accuses the judge of an error in law. Well, what the hell? What the hell has this woman, just in this time that she's been in Arizona, error after error after error of trying to say that this is what the law means, but it really means something else, and blah, 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 blah. Abuse of discretion. Lori had abused her own discretion. She could have told Chad, I know you've said, if this is indeed what happened, I mean, it could have been her idea. I'm leaning toward that. But she could have abused her discretion by saying, Chad, go ahead, Chad, do it. Are they at zero yet? That was abuse of her discretion as a mother. Bad faith, she's talking about. Had bad faith in any of it. Does anyone think that Lori had bad faith when she did all she did to her victims? But she's sitting here saying this about the judge. She's saying that the judge intentionally committed, the acts were intentionally committed. Basically, the court proceedings, Judge Boreski's behavior and judicial acts fall within the scope of bad faith. The acts were intentionally committed. Well, her acts were intentionally committed. She murdered her own children. She murdered Tammy. She murdered Charles. She tried to take out Brandon. I believe she murdered Joe Ryan. The judge knew or should have known that his actions were beyond. She should have known that her actions and what she did were that her actions were beyond a mother's lawful power. And without lawful power, she couldn't have, she made the decision. She did. This right here, she did know that as she had the power as the parent. But for the corrupt purpose which includes any other faithful discharge of mothering. Well, she had a corrupt purpose when she discharged her mothering duty there. She discharged it. She absolutely had corruptness. She has deprived the family of the murder victims of access to their loved ones. And yet she is sitting here saying all which Judge Boreski has deprived the defendant of access to the evidence. She deprived people of the love of their family members and their life, their purpose. She deprived these people, these family members of JJ, Tylee, Tammy, Charles, Joe Ryan. A mother's abuses her discretion in controlling her children. Think about that. Let me repeat it. A mother abuses her discretion in controlling her children. She abused it. Because you and I both know parents have to control. They have to try to control, know where their children are, take care of their children, do all these things. She abused it. She crossed the line of neutrality when she misemployed her mothering. Again, y'all, she's saying that the judge misapplied, crossed the line of neutrality, but here she is. She crossed the line of her mothering when she misemployed her power as a mother. When she assumed the role of her mothering to advantage or disadvantage a party unfairly, and nothing is more of a disadvantage and unfair than snuffing the life away from beautiful children of a woman like Tammy, Charles, Joe Ryan, nearly taking Brandon Boudreaux's life. Giving the impression that this court has an opinion. Seems to me that in her sworn affidavit here, she's giving opinion when it's supposed to be facts. Improper mothering. Improper mothering intervention results in prejudice. Let me say it again. Her doing the mothering improperly, the intervention of the mothering ability resulted not only in murder, but in prejudice. Because she's saying that the judge has prejudiced himself. Well, she absolutely was prejudiced against her own children enough to murder them. The facial expressions, attitude, demeanor, and statements deprived the defendant of a fair and impartial hearing. Well, how about her facial expressions? What about the facial expression of her when they handed her that freaking dang thing over there in Hawaii while she's sitting in that chair in her freaking turquoise bikini? The look on her face. Or how about the time she ran out of the church there, one of the LDS churches over there in Hawaii, getting into the driver's side, just smiling like a freaking movie star. Oh, I can't talk with you. I'm too powerful. Or how about the look on her face, her facial expressions as she's so smoothly like a viper in the body cam at her apartment talked about JJ was in Arizona. The facial expressions, her attitude. She needs her ass stomped. That's what she needs. She needs a good old-fashioned country ass whooping. That's what she needs. Her demeanor? Well, I'll tell you, it has changed a bit since in Idaho. In Idaho, she was jumping up and down in a chair with her unicorn ponytail. She did have her little, her ponytail thing there, I think once or twice. In Arizona, but she's tried to look studious. She's tried to look so studious. Don't you know? Huh? She wants everyone to think she knows what the hell she's doing. And her statements to everyone was nothing more than bald-faced lies. And yet here she is, degrading and accusing a judge who has done nothing but conduct himself as a neutral arbiter of justice. It's pathetic. Then she goes into this, the belt, the stun belt thing. The belt is visible on the defendant and has fallen off. The defendant is in prior trial proceedings. The motion was denied by Judge Bereski. Her not to wear that belt. Well, I'll tell you. That's a sworn affidavit. Does anyone have evidence that that belt actually fell off of her? Can anyone point me to that at all? Also, glimpses of the defendant in restraints can rise to a level of due process violations. Well, I'll tell you what. If that's all she thinks that a stun belt could make her due process, it might violate it and all that, she needs to take a good, heavy look at herself and know that everybody knows how much of a slimy freaking whore she is. There ain't no damn belt or nothing. It's going to make her look any worse than she already does. Anyone causing any citizen to be subjected to a constitutional deprivation is also liable, she says. She's quoting a code here. Constitutional deprivation. Do you think that Tylee and JJ and Tammy and Charles, Joe, Brandon, did she do something against their constitutional right? You know what that right is? To live. To live. She's liable. The requisite causal connection can be established by a series of acts by which the actor inflicted the constitutional injuries and abuse of discretion. She abused her discretion as not only a mother, a wife, a person in the community, a friend, I guess. I don't know that this woman really knows what friendship or even any of this, the mothering or the wifely stuff, she does not grasp. She absolutely inflicted constitutional injury to her victims, and yet she is sitting here accusing the judge of doing this. She says miscarriage of justice, failure to make prescribed findings to justify the ends of justice. Continuance cannot be excused as harmless error under the Speedy Trial Act. So now she goes into the Speedy Trial Act. She's talking about it took longer and all that. All that's not a problem, y'all. She can bellyache about it all she wants. It's this whole thing about the ends of justice. The ends of justice, to me, isn't just conviction in man's law. The end of justice is when she meets her maker, because her maker is going to meet her. You can be damned. Is the maker, God Almighty, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit is going to judge everyone. Everyone. Whether they believe in him or not. Period. End of sentence. The ends of justice. My fleshly mind would see the end of justice for her with some damn woman over there in Pocatello Women's Prison shanking her ass. Or, I won't go into what I think should happen to her. Maybe I should, but I'll leave that alone. Lori abuses her discretion when she fails to consider all factors relevant to the choices and the factors she did rely on. That's just so, I've crossed out the judge, everything she's accusing him of. Lori abused her discretion when she failed to consider all factors relevant to the choices and the factors she did rely on. The state and Judge Bereski failed with end of justice for continuance. Judge Bareski therefore violated the Speedy Trial Act with failure to justify continuance. She is absolutely dragging ass on this second trial here. And she's talking this bullshit about she wants her speedy trial and all that, when she has put nothing but roadblock after roadblock, i.e. motions that if any of them would have been granted, it would have delayed things. If she would have got a dismissal, does she think her ass would not, they wouldn't refile them? I mean, refile the charges here? I mean, is there something that she just, it's not clicking in there? The demon's squirming around too much in there for her to freaking have any freaking common sense at all? Speedy Trial Act? She wants a new trial because if there was a dismissal, the state would refile it. So obviously, I mean, I'm not that smart, folks, but even y'all understand that. So what is it? Does she want her things done fast? Or does she want to for things to slow down? I mean, she's sick now, don't you know? She's going to have a few extra days, hopefully, in her mind. This violation of the Speedy Trial Act by the judge was motivated by bad faith. Well, again, I will say it again. There is nothing good about the kind of faith this hooker has had her freaking entire life, basically. She says that Judge Justin Bareski stated, quote, I guess to the extent that you are comparing yourself to these biblical figures, I will allow it. That set Lori off. Because Lori says this was a malicious act by the judge to the defendant, manifesting discrimination and religious persecution against Mrs. Daybell's religious exercise, beliefs, and practices. My goodness, y'all. This woman wants her rights to believe in her so-called religion that includes serial murder, not only of children, but other innocent people. Oh, but we're supposed to protect that type of religious belief. I'll tell you what. I'm all for people believing whatever the hell they want to believe. If they don't want to believe shit, that's fine too. What I'm telling you now is that ain't protected. When you have a religion, or you say it's a religion, and you murder people in the name of it, you can go to hell, because that is not a true religion. Religion should be about love, about giving, about wonderful life, and all these things. And yes, there are people that have religions over stupid shit that has nothing to do with that. But they're not out here murdering people. Lori had a personal bias against anyone that didn't believe the way Lori wanted them to believe. And the ones that were in the way that didn't believe the way she wanted to, or the ones that even if they did believe, that she felt like was not giving her, any space to be her stupid James and Elena crap. She just offered kids, get rid of them, live out her best days out on the beach, jumping up and down like a damn asshole. A mother who manifests bias or prejudice in murdering impairs the fairness of life and brings life into dispute. In disrepute, excuse me. So she's talking about the judge is taking the judiciary into disrepute. Excuse me about that, y'all. But her murdering brought her into the disrepute of life. Facial expressions, attitude, demeanor, and statements deprived the defendant of a fair and impartial hearing. Did anybody see the look on her stupid ass face during any of this? her damn whining and bitching to the judge and being disrespectful? Is she not trying to bring in disrepute of the judiciary by making a freaking freak show of the courtroom because her ass don't know nothing about freaking law? The facts and the reason for the belief that such bias or prejudice exists are statement of facts above. Those are not facts. Those are not facts. She is in an affidavit saying the facts and the reasons for the belief are fact. No, they're her freaked out opinions. The opinion of Lori Daybell don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. If she's really feels like this judge has just got it out for her and everything, then why is it that nothing she files, do you think this judge is going to be, I don't like her, and every motion she's filed, because I don't like her, I'm just being mean to her? Does he not think that an appeals court is going to check his work? So she attacked Judge Boreski, and really all along she should have been, what is it? A sworn affidavit. And I tried to bring across all of these things that she was accusing him of her, that she has exhibited over and over again. But then you know, don't you? She's always blamed others for what she's doing, right? She's always mirrored. She does the gaslighting thing by whatever is going on with her. She says that other people are doing it. That's basic narcissism right there. So, as y'all recall, it was John Pryor who attacked everything for Chad Daybell. He tried, they had to do stuff under seal, allegations of things and everything. Judge Boyce made those under seal because, these defense attorneys can allege anything. Lori is sitting here in a legal document. She's saying she wants a fair trial. She wants her due process and stuff. And yet at the same time, she's shitting all over a neutral, basically a judicial referee who ain't got a freaking stake in any of it. He just wants it done right. She should really be looking like, dang, I know it's not turning out like I wanted it to, but, everything's lining up with law. There's nothing I can do about it. Don't she want to get back to Pocatello, y'all? Don't she want to start her new life? She's going to be there for the women. She's going to be their leader, whatever. Yeah, let's see how that works out. But then we get to things that she has attacked in the evidence. And y'all, we should have a trial. At least, Monday was supposed to be the start of the trial. But now that she's sick, they just now figuring out how sick this hooker is. She is spiritually sick. She is out there. But she is now switched gears. She can't really get by with attacking the state, i.e. the prosecutors or the judge anymore, or any of the procedural stuff like headsets or stun belts or any of that stuff. She's trying to get a reaction, in my opinion, from the judge where she can put it on another motion, right? And by the way, as many of you already know, her latest motions, whatever they are, the judge isn't even going to listen to her in open court anymore. He's just going to give a written judgment. He's already given her lessons on Law 101. But she is attacking now the evidence. She wants the Jeep, Tylee's Jeep, excluded from all of that because the bad faith by police that she doesn't have the actual window and door for testing. Y'all, all this stuff is being denied, but I'm bringing it up to explain to you that she is attacking these things, and yet she's supposed to be right, right? She's supposed to be right. All of these things that are being shown to her that you have no, that you're wrong, Lori. You're wrong about wanting to exclude the Jeep. There was no bad faith by the police. You say you want the actual door and windows so that your expert can test it themselves. Folks, when a state puts on a case, they don't have to give the door or the window. They can give photographs. It's their evidence. It's their burden to prove. So whatever the evidence is the evidence. Pure and simple. And if her expert can't look at a bunch of photographs to determine something, what are they going to take their finger? I'm going to rub it up against the middle and say that that wasn't a bullet. That must have been a tree limb. That shooting never happened. Give me a break. Then she goes into attacking Detective Hermosillo, who impounded that Jeep. Of course, he had legal probable cause to do that. That was shot down. She absolutely does not want that connection of the Jeep. She also wants to exclude phone and data and text messages of Alex's device. Huh. Why wouldn't she want it excluded of her device or Tylee's device or anyone's device, Brandon's device or why is it Alex, huh? She says in her motion, which was denied, also if the state is using geofencing from Google or location history directly from the account, the state still cannot determine who was in control over the device at the time. Well, isn't that up to the jury to decide? And she's got to put on a defense. Why not use that, huh? So any data obtained would be pure speculation as to an actual person's location. Folks, could you imagine if that flew? If someone could say, well, you can't enter my accomplice's device because you don't know 100% sure that they had that device. In other words, she says, a phone is a small device that can be picked up by any person and transported by any person. Oh, so who was around them? I mean, if it was indeed Alex's phone, and she's basically saying she didn't do anything, who else was around them? Was Chad around? We all know that Tylee was out of the picture. Let's see, it's August, September, October, November. The state has made no determination to the defense that any data turned over to the defense regarding Alex Cox is actually data from Alex Cox. Well, it's obvious, y'all, that she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. And I'm sure that she's just given the state even more of a reason to authenticate it and to really show the jury that Alex Cox is a freaking nasty-ass, crazy dude, and it can be shown that through prior messages and all of this and that, or future messages, that was Alex Cox. Any person who knows your email address could purchase a phone and attach your email address to it, and that's true. But folks, think about it. Does it matter if it's an email address or not if they have the geolocation on it? Okay, they're putting your email address on this phone, but the phone just so happens to be over here at Lori's apartment complex or at the freaking storage unit, but someone else has it. Give me a break. The defense requests this court preclude all evidence of phone data regarding Alex Cox in this trial for all of the reasons stated above. Of course she wants Alex Cox's phone not to be entered into evidence because the state can prove that she was even acting like Alex was texting her when they have proof positive that his ass was in Arizona at the time. And he's supposed to be over there in Idaho. Give me a break. And finally, y'all, Miss queen of the 144,000 who was right to do everything she did, except for the fact that now it really wasn't her fault that Tylee killed JJ and killed herself. But that's okay that Tylee killed herself because Tylee was in a lot of pain anyway. And all of that. And it was okay about Tammy and Charles, the conviction of that. But now it's about the sentencing that's going to happen after Brandon Boudreaux's trial. Not only for Charles Vallow, but for Brandon Boudreaux. They're going to all have it at one time. She wants to argue over the aggravating factors that is codified in Arizona law. She don't know her ass from a hole in the ground in any of it. But here are the aggravators that the state of Arizona says that they can prove. Infliction or threatened infliction of serious physical injury. That is an aggravator. And when she's found guilty, which we all know she's going to be found guilty, that is common sense. And in fact, the judge said, as I read down these aggravators that the state have listed, he says ultimately that these are inherent. These are inherent, meaning that it exists as a natural and inseparable part of something, not just present, but deeply rooted. In other words, these things are not up for debate, except maybe one, y'all, and this one's going to be interesting. I'll get to it in a minute, but that is infliction or threatened infliction of serious physical injury. The offense, the use or threatened use or possession of a deadly weapon, specifically a gun. The offense involved accomplice. Yes, we know this. The offense caused physical, emotional, or financial harm to the victim. We damn well know that it did for Brandon Boudreaux. It was emotional for him, I'm sure. Financially, it hit him. It hit his car. It also hit him in terms of having to go and hide him and his children because his damn ex-wife, Melody Pulowski, was a freak show who told Alex where he lived, and they were out to get his ass. Also, deeply rooted in all of this was the aggravating factor of prior convictions, 10 years preceding the offense convicted of a crime. She absolutely has been convicted. She's a serial killer. She knows good and damn well she can't. That is a aggravating factor. And then this one, finally, and I find this highly interesting. And y'all, I'm ready for it. But the state did include this, and the judge said, well, this is kind of a general thing, and he wasn't really sure, and you can go back and listen to him when he told Lori, these are the aggravators. But it's any relevant background character of the defendant. Wonder what the state could bring in on that, y'all, her background. Let me ask you this. When she is convicted, right? They're going to have to prove that she was convicted of, basically a serial killer. But are they going to elaborate? Are they going to elaborate to these jurors about these prior convictions? Because she was convicted of Charles Vallow. Now, the jury in this trial is not going to be able to hear that. They're going to hear of a date, the date in question. That was all ironed out in court. To hear about that, they're going to hear about her other convictions in Idaho. Any relevant background character of defendant. Her background, y'all, as a serial killer, a child murderer of a sick, twisted woman who absolutely does not want to take any personal responsibility. And yes, in her mind, she can continue to thwart that. She doesn't even have to, any of that, but it's making her more and more sick. Of course, the demon in her actually keeps her sick, but she's going to continue. You cannot live in a lie for too long before the truth always comes out. And it doesn't mean she's going to embrace the truth. Doesn't mean she's going to accept the truth. You know, most people with love in their hearts are saying, well, maybe she'll get to a place one day where she will confess with the mouth and God Almighty is faithful and just to cleanse her of it. But she is in that mindset that it doesn't count for her. She doesn't need to repent. She's not confessing to anything. She's going to blame everyone. And that, my friends, is the reason that this evil mother and her sworn affidavit should really be about what she really did. Think about that. What if she had really done an affidavit and really told the truth from the depths of it all? Explained it word for word for word for word. I think the victim's family members deserve a truthful answer, an explanation, and all of that, but they're never going to get it. And that's the sad reality of it all. That's what keeps Lori sick. Not just her narcissism, her mental illness, the fact that she's aging, the fact that she has to lie, in my opinion, about being sick so she can drag her ass a little bit more and maybe think up more emotions, you know, keep everything going the way it is. She knows it's about to end. She's already looking toward the sentencing. She doesn't want these aggravators brought in. Why? If she knows that it really doesn't matter what the sentence is in Arizona, she's going to be spending the remainder of her days in Pocatello. What does it matter that she's trying to thwart, attack the judge, attack the prosecutor, attack witnesses, attack her own daughter, attack anyone and everyone? Because she's living in an evil, sick denial. She's living in a place where personal responsibility doesn't mean shit to her. And so it is what it is. So I hope y'all have learned something, and I'm glad to be back. And I hope that down the road, y'all know that I'm going to do my best to learn what I can and share it, and also learn from all of y'all. And thank y'all again for everything. And we'll talk soon. And just know that I love you. And I thank you for your prayers. I know some of y'all prayed for me. I went through, you know, a burnout period where I just threw my hands up in the air. But everyone needs rest. Everyone needs self-care. And OKJ sure did need it. But I needed your prayers too. And I thank you so much. So with that being said, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Personal responsibility. Being sick on the inside because she can't face the truth or doesn't want to face the truth. It's really pathetic, folks. She walked around like she absolutely, her and Chad knew the truth, that they were the exalted beings, that they knew the real deal. And here she is, taken down to her knees by man's law. Through incarceration, she will have everything laid out in how she's going to live out her days. Is that an exalted being? Is that someone that has to deal with all that? Is that what Jesus wanted for her? I don't think so. So take care. Know I love you and keep on looking.